Everybody knows, at least have talked about the fact that there's a $5.5 billion project that is on the table. It's called the Port Covington Project. Many people around the country are calling it the most ambitious urban development project in the country. Let's start with you, Senator Pugh. When it comes to evaluating this project, and right now $535 million of tax relief is on the table potentially for this project, how will you evaluate whether the city should embark upon giving that type of tax relief for the actual project itself?
Well, I think I would have brought in some experts to really take a look at whether or not this is the type of tax relief package that we ought to be implementing. But when I think about this particular project, I also think about the opportunities that it will present. You're talking about 26,000 jobs. You're talking about also a mode of transportation that does not currently exist, that we ought to be taking advantage of, seeing how we link it from one side of the city to the other. You also talk about the potential for linking with neighborhoods where unemployment is at its highest. Cherry Hill, for example, is one of those neighborhoods which is, according to the Baltimore Neighborhoods Indicators Alliance, is one of the top 10 unemployed areas in our city. So there ought to be some type of relationship in terms of project labor agreements and employment contracts that focus on hiring the people within those neighborhoods. Also, you want to know who the partners are. I think every time a project gets presented to the mayor and to the city council, there ought to be some discussion about equalization of wealth, leveraging opportunities, partnering throughout the city, making sure that we're lifting the least while we lift all of us, and at the same time, that businesses are cooperating with each other. That's the kind of mayor I would be, and that's the kind of thing I think should happen with that kind of project.
Ms. Embry, when it comes to projects like this, a lot of people talk minority participation when it comes to contracts, but they don't talk about, as Senator Pugh just referenced, jobs that actually go to the citizens in the community. With this much time ahead of time, what kind of training would you give to local citizens to prepare them for these upcoming jobs?
Well, I talk a lot about this in my plan because it's so important. So the Port Covington project is exciting, and I think largely because it's bringing jobs at a scale that we haven't seen in the city for a generation. And it's also bringing manufacturing back to the city, and it's bringing new parkland, and it's bringing public transportation. And that's very exciting. But we need a mayor and an administration that can negotiate effectively, that understands the numbers, an administration that will not, as has recently happened, speed the process through BDC without transparency. We need to have faith in our government that it is accountable, that it is honest, and that it is really doing its job to negotiate the best deal for the city. And part of that means assuring that we are hiring locally. And part of that is putting that in writing so we can enforce it, but part of it also is the city helping to create that pipeline, because people need the public transportation to get to the jobs. They need the automatic expungement so they're not held back by their criminal records. And we also need to align all of our training systems so that we are supporting, whether it's in our school system, in our community college, working with labor through the apprenticeship programs, doing everything we need to do to make sure that people are trained and ready and able to get to those jobs.
Mr. Warnock, this is your bailiwick. You're an entrepreneur, you're someone in the private sector. How do you evaluate these projects and whether or not they're good for the city or not?
Well, the reality is, time and time again, people who have made major political contributions, developers who have made major political contributions, have a lot of say in our city. And if you look at the people in this race, they continue to take major campaign contributions from developers and major corporations. And those developers and corporations get what they pay for. So the way I evaluate that is, one, the number of jobs that are created. And are those jobs going to go to local people, right? Port Covington is a wonderful place. It's a great opportunity, but it's right on 95. What we don't want is those jobs to go to people who are driving up 95 in the absence of the people over in Brooklyn and Curtis Bay. And those people have been left behind. We need to put them to work, and we need to create a public transportation system that works for all of our citizens in Baltimore. I've proposed, for example, a modified red line that goes from Social Security and stops at Lexington Market, because we need to create a transportation system that respects our people and allows people on the west side of Baltimore to get to those jobs on the east side.
And former Mayor Dixon, when it comes to, and once again, this is in your shop, minority participation on projects like this, we always hear that we're trying to reach the goal of 20% or 25%. How will you actually achieve that goal?
Well, first of all, in this project of $535 million TIF, we need to assess whether or not that amount is actually needed and do an extensive study on that. Secondly, we need to incorporate for the city that we put in that we put in a profit sharing so that money comes back to the city. Third, I've been working with minority companies for the last 5 years. I know what it takes. They hire people in our communities. So what we need to do is to make sure within this plan that not only that it provides jobs, but we've got to go back and do something even more basic. Training. Training is where the weakness is. And so in my plan that was touted by the Sun being the most comprehensive, it talks about MBs and WBs and creating more opportunities for MBs and WBs. But it also talks about tripling the training money that's needed, because right now that's where we're weak. And so I'm going to put a lot of focus on training as part of the job creation, along with increasing that TIF to help Westport, Cherry Hill, Curtis Bay, so that all of it connects with Port Covington.